here?
All right, so let's go. Let's talk a little bit about adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. Just a piece of information. Some of these very exact problems may appear on a homework assignment or a classwork assignment that I give after Thanksgiving break.
Okay.
So, however you want to decide to do this, but some of these very exact specific problems may appear on an assignment I give you after we get back from Thanksgiving break.
Yay!
I already finished all this page.
So what? Is it page?
I don't remember what page, but let's look first.
Pay attention.
Let's look first at the fractions. 2/9 plus 1/3. 2/9 plus 1/3. Olivia, can I add those fractions like they're written? No. Why not, Olivia? They do not have a common denominator. You cannot, and I mean cannot, add fractions together unless they do have a common denominator. Olivia, what are my two denominators? What's the denominator in this fraction?
9.
And this one? Good. My two denominators for this addition problem are 9 and 3. We need to find the least common denominator. Now, we've studied that a little bit, finding the least common denominator. And we can list all the multiples of 9 and 3. 9, 18, 27, 36, 45. But let's start with this. We're going to do some thinking, Olivia. Is 9 a multiple of 3? Yes. Because if I go 3, 6, 9, 12, 9, 18, 27, 36, and I'm basically just listing the multiples until I find one in common, this case, they both have 9 in common. So I can always stop and ask myself, is the larger number a multiple of the smaller number?
Yes.
That's going to be easier, and if it's not, we'll just keep going on adding to it. So now I know my least common denominator is going to equal 9. My least common denominator is going to equal 9. That means I change the way these fractions are written. I am not, and I repeat, not changing the value of the fractions. Just because I give Evan $1 and I give Hunter 20 nickels, it doesn't mean Hunter got more because he has 20 and Evan only got 1. Okay, we're not changing the value. Now, 2/9 already has a denominator of 9. So I need to mess with that one. That stays 2. 1/3, however, does not have a denominator of 9. I.e., therefore, for example, we need to multiply 1/3 by a fraction that equals 1. So that I change the way it's written, but not the value of it. Because, as Jocelyn knows, and she tells me all the time, Mr. McMurdo, you know when you multiply something by 1, it doesn't change the value? I'm like, I know, Jocelyn, but it's silent reading time. Oh. Mr. McMurdo, can I go to the bathroom? And did you know when you multiply a fraction by 1, it doesn't change the value? I know, Jocelyn, just go potty. Gosh, Jocelyn. I don't even know how to deal with you sometimes. So, Olivia, I need a fraction that equals 1. Okay? I need that denominator, this times this needs to equal 9. So what's going to go here?
9.
No. 3. Very good. The fraction 3/3 equals 1. Hunter, you know why she picked 3/3?
Because 9, what? Oh, 3 times 9 equals...
3 times 3.
3 times 3 equals 9.
Good, and we need this fraction to equal 1. All right, so now Olivia, 1 times 3 is? 3. Now, as Professor Berger told us, also another step I like to do, and because I'm mean, I like to mess with kids that don't do this. If you don't bring your sign over here, you're going to make mistakes.
What is the sign for?
The sign's an addition sign.
Because I know
That means you add them.
that.
So, Olivia, 2 ninths plus 3 ninths is 5 ninths.
I got it right.
Is 5 ninths. But now wait, Olivia, let's ask ourselves a question. You know, if I said I ate, let's look at these. So, Olivia, let's say I had 2/4 of a pizza. And you said, well, I had the same size pizza and I ate 1/2. Those two are exactly the same size, the same value, right? So I need to see if I can make 5 ninths into a fraction with the same value but lower. Now before, your ugly teacher taught you how to find greatest common factor. So we're going to look at greatest common factor.
My teacher was mean last year.
No, so your teacher's mean this year too.
What? No, he isn't.
To find the greatest common factor, we take our numerator and we list our factors of our numerator, which is... Lainey?
5, 10.
No, those are multiples.
Oh.
Factors.
Factors. 1 and 5.
1 times 5. 5's prime, so that's the only factors it has. 9. Factors of 9 are, class?
9, 1, 9, 2, or 3, 3 times 3.
Good. 1 times 9, 3 times 3. Now we find everything they have in common. The only thing they have in common is a 1.
So the greatest common factor?
That means the greatest common factor is 1. If the greatest common factor is 1, that fraction's already in its lowest terms. It is simplified.
Okay.
It is simplified. So your answer would be 5 ninths. Now this is where I see people freaking out with fractions. Okay? It took us, I erased part of what we had to do. I erased the least common multiple. It took us all of this. So it's not because fractions are difficult to do. We freak out because it takes more steps. Not because it's difficult. Kayla?
How is the least common multiple greater? The least common multiple was 9. The least common factor.
Greatest common factor was 1.
Yeah, but then the least common.
Because they're two different things. I'll take 2 numbers. Let's take 6
And 21.
and 9. Okay? The greatest common factor, my factors of 6 are 1 times 6, 2 times 3. My factors of 9 are 1 times 9, 3 times 3. Therefore, my greatest common factor, the biggest number they have in common, is 3. But now if I'm looking for my least common denominator, which is different, I take my 2 numbers, 6 and 9, and then I just do the multiples. And my least common denominator would be 18. Okay, so those are two different things. When you're doing multiple, think multiplication chart. Okay? So those are two different things. Least common multiple and greatest common factor. Go ahead, Ruben.
Which one's your favorite?
They both have to be used for different things.
No, like which one's your favorite to do?
I don't know. Eat ice cream and watch TV is my favorite. Yes, sir.
That's my weekend, bro.
Why are you?
When you say the least common factor, like
I can't hear.
what do you mean, like, what do you mean by the least common factor? Like, I don't understand it.
Greatest common factor?
Yes.
Greatest common factor. Let's look at these. Let me get to greatest common factor in a minute. We'll work through this whole problem, and you'll see all the steps. All right? So, Hunter, how you doing back there?
Pretty good.
Good, good. Ethan.
He's just following the camera.
Okay, Ethan, can you add these fractions the way they're written?
No,
No, why not?
because they don't have the same denominator.
They don't have the same denominator. So I need to find the least common denominator for 4 and 3. So when we're looking for least common, we're looking at a multiplication chart, and we want to see which one shows up first. Okay, you're doing factors. Okay, no, you're right. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 3, 6, 9, 12.
Stop.
There it is.
12.
My least common denominator is 12. So I'm going to change both of these fractions
To 12.
so that they have a denominator of 12.
It's called.
Do either one of them currently have a denominator of 12, Ethan?
No.
No. So I need to change both of them. And when I change them, as Jocelyn always tells me,
Yes.
I don't want to change the value. So, Mr. McMurdo, if you multiply by a fraction that equals 1, then you're not really changing the value. You're changing how it's written.
Why does she sound like that when she talks?
I don't know.
Jocelyn, why do you talk like that?
I know.
She doesn't know.
do.
All right. Shh. All right, so we have 1/4 plus 2/3. Ethan, what am I multiplying here to get a denominator of 12?
3.
3/3. Excellent. And what goes here?
3.
3. What am I multiplying here to get a denominator of 12?
Is it 3 again?
No, because 3 times 3 would give me 9.
Oh,
3 times what is 12?
4.
4. Okay? So what goes here then? 2 times 4 is
8.
8.
And then you
Bring over my sign.
Why do you even have that? Because like,
3 twelfths plus 8 twelfths is what, Ethan?
oh, that's what you have.
12 or 1 whole.
No, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Oh, 11.
11 twelfths. Okay? Now, let's just say I have my fraction strips that my teacher gave me, and I want to check it. Well, if I'm adding 1/4 plus 2/3, according to what I got, I should take 11 twelfths to equal this. So let's see if it works.
Then that would be all the 12 because you're missing one 12.
Am I missing the 12?
I think so.
Oh, look. 1/4 is the same as 3 twelfths. Those are equivalent. 1/4 is the same as 3 twelfths, just like we did up there. Yes.
Would have been so easy if you had Professor Burger pen.
It would be easier if I had a Professor Burger pen, but you know, they don't pay me enough to have a Professor Burger pen.
What's a Professor Burger? do that with the pen? It's like magic.
It is magic.
He has like
All right, so we checked our work.
He's using his computer.
We checked our work with... Why are we still talking? Please stop. We checked our work, and it worked. 1/4 plus 2/3 equals 11 twelfths. But let's just see.
Actually, no, they're not missing a 12.
So we want to see if we can simplify. If we can write 11 twelfths in smaller terms. I'm going to tell you right now we can't. But I'm going to show you how to check it to see if we could. How to check it to see if we could.
Least common
All right, we're going to find our greatest common factor
Least common factor.
for 11 and 12.
Can I do it?
11 is prime, so it's going to be 1 times 11. No other factors of 11. 12, I can do 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. If all they have in common
Is 1.
is a 1, then I can't write this in smaller form. But let's look at a different number so you can see how it works. And you should have learned this last year.
Yes.
But let's look at the fraction. We'll take 12 again. Let's take the fraction 10 twelfths. Okay, make sure you're all with me, please. We're going to take the fraction 10 twelfths. If we did a problem and we got the answer 10 twelfths, and you put that answer on there, I'm going to mark it wrong. This is why. Because I can simplify 10 twelfths. I find the greatest factor they have in common. So 10 would be 1 times 10, 2 times 5. 12 would be 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. So what is the biggest number that shows up in each of these factor lists, Olivia? 2. Okay? So my greatest common factor is 2. That means if I divide this by 2 over 2, and another one of Jocelyn's favorite things, Mr. McMurdo, do you know if you divide something by 1, it doesn't change the value of it? I know, Jocelyn. Why do you say that all the time? At the beginning of the year, I was just saying, hi, my name's Mr. McMurdo. What's your name? And you said, did you know if we divide something by 1, it doesn't change the value? Okay, so we have 10 12ths. We're dividing it by 1, or 2 over 2. So, Ethan, what is 10 divided by 2?
10 divided by 2 is 5.
5. And what is 12 divided by 2? 6. All right, well, let's check and see if what we did is correct. So, if we have 10 12ths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 12ths, and we have 5 6. Those are the same value. 10 12ths and 5 6 are the same value. Because like Jocelyn said, if you just simplify it by dividing it by 1, it just changes the way it's written. It doesn't really change the value.
Really?
Okay, she didn't know that. She didn't know that. She didn't know that.
I did.
I'm going to do one more problem, and then I got to stop and take attendance, and then I'm going to get you in the book. But let me do one more.
Betsy's not here.
I know that.
I wonder where she is.
Yeah. Let's take 3/4 plus 1/8. 3/4 plus 1/8. Evan, can I have these fractions like they're currently written?
No.
Why not?
Because they don't have like denominators.
They don't have like denominators. You have to have like denominators in order to add and subtract fractions. These, however, do not. So we're going to find our least common denominator. And our denominators are 4 and 8. All right. Evan, is 8 a multiple of 4?
Yes.
Yes. 4, 8, 12, 16. So 8 is a multiple of 4. So if I change these, so they're both over 8. Change them so they're both over 8.
That one's still 1/8.
This one is still 1/8 because it's already over 8. And as Jocelyn's pointed out so many times, if you multiply by a fraction that equals like 1, it doesn't change the value. It just changes how it's written. Okay? So what am I going to put here, Evan? 2 over 2. 3/4 equals 6/8. It's an addition problem. 6/8 plus 1/8 is 7/8. Now if I had time, I would get my strips out and show you that 3/4 plus 1/8 would be the same as 7/8. I got to take attendance because I get a nasty email if I don't take attendance on time.
Why?
Your name was on the list of teachers that did not submit their attendance on time. You stink. So we'll stop there, and I'll get you to open your book. What page does that lesson start on? Go back, 219?
203 is my birthday.
Yeah, 219.
219. Get your book out, open up to 219.